the South. South. Atlanta, Richmond County, Sparta, wherever. Wonderful. Then you'll be able to relate to this. My topic, if it is how Southern women relate to faith. How Southern women relate to faith. Pull up yourself, girl. Straighten your hair. Why you got on so much makeup? You can't go out of this house looking like that. Somebody will think you off the street. Did you take your bath last night before you got in the bed? Did you brush your teeth? That hem is coming out of your dress. Wait a minute, let me get this little speck off of you. Those are sounds of Terry, did I stretch it too far? Those are sounds that may or may not be familiar to people of today. But in my era, you never left home from Mama without her seeing about what was exactly and perfectly in line before you left the house. Amen. I'm going to do an excerpt today on a lady who had unmovable faith. And her name was Hannah. Hannah comes out of the Old Testament in Kings. She comes up to the temple each and every day, praying and praying and praying for everything to be within her grasp. She never had a child. She prayed and she prayed so hard one time that the priest said, "Woman, are you drunk? You're weaving and wobbling in here? You come into the temple and defile it because you're drunk?" And she said, "I'm not drunk. I'm just praying to the Lord," to herself. She never shared it with him. So she went meekly on off. Then she came back and did the same prayer. Finally, the Lord opened her womb and blessed her to have a son. She had made a covenant with God at that time and saying that if she had a son, that she would freely give him back to him. So when he was of age and she had weaned him, breastfeeding was not my forte, but for those who did breastfeed, you have to wean your child from your breast so that they can take the milk or food or whatever without having their moms with them. So she took him to the temple, and he grew in the temple. The Lord called on him, and he said, "Did you call me?" Speaking to the priest. He went back and he said no. He went back and he slept again. The Lord called his name again. And he went back to the priest and said, "Did you call me?" No. He went back to sleep again. And then he came back to the priest. "Did you call? You sure you didn't call me?" "No, I didn't call you, but," jumping up, fast forward, "it may be the call of the Lord. So when he calls again, you had better answer." My mother, Mrs. Ruby Kitchens Hazel, was born of a mother who was first generation out of slavery in a little South Georgia town called Sparta. And that's in Hancock County. If you take I-20 East, you'll find it. They couldn't claim Sparta because they lived out in the country, in the fields, and all such as that. I find that when I speak on this with some younger people who have not experienced this, they want to say, "Why she keep pulling up the past? Let's go to the future." So I beg you to please indulge me while I spin this. All right? My mom was born there. She was raised on the farm. She was raised by her mother and grandmother, and her grandmother was first generation, as I said, from slavery. They had many thoughts about hard work. They knew that in order to survive, you had to depend on the Lord. I always heard her keep saying, "I have the faith. I'm hoping God will. I know He gonna see me through. and that he's going to take care of you. My mother moved to Atlanta after having married my father, and they still were in the country. They were in an undeveloped part of East Point, Georgia. I was born to her by a midwife, but not like the midwives of today that go to nursing school and then go on to midwifery school and get their degrees and whatever. This was a lady that was out in the community that would come and help deliver babies. Natural childbirth. Natural childbirth. Not something you selected to do as a celebrity, but this was what had to be. So born unto her was a little ugly girl that didn't weigh but about 5 pounds, but at that time, she had a traumatic delivery. My grandmama always said to me, she said, child, you go preach one day, because you were born with a veil over your face. Never heard of it, never thought about it. Grew up, went on to school, went through whatever else that were, but I always had my mother that kept that legacy going. She said something that you people probably think was coined by our President Obama, but Mama always told me, yes, you can. She was the first one I ever heard that, yes, you can. There was no such thing as can't in her vocabulary. She worked hard, and it was always, yes, we can, we will, and everything positive. Trust me now, every day wasn't like wine and roses, because there were hard times. We came through the 50s, when segregation, and you had to use the white and the black water fountains, and go downtown to S.H. Crest, and put your little quarter in to get in the bathroom, etc., etc. But Mama was a hard-working lady. She took care of her family. She never worked outside the home. My dad worked, and Mama took care of us. But if you think housekeeping and being at home and a stay-at-home mom is easy, please, ladies, think again. Because all the washing during that time was not with a machine. It was with a rub board and a big old galvanized wash tub. Then you had to starch and iron and not leave any cat faces, or you had to do it again. You had the crinoline slips that you had to stick in that starch and put that soap in there to make it slide, and then you had to hang them up and let them dry, and then your dress be that long and your legs be all scratched up from being on there. That's what you came to church and Sunday school with. And oh Lord, Saturday night, you could smell hair from here to there. Because they had their royal crowns and those straightening combs, and they laid it, they fried it, tied it, and laid it to the side. And then you went to Sunday school that morning, and if you didn't get up on time to share the tubs with your brothers before they got in there, then you didn't get to go to Sunday school. Because you had to come before the Lord clean. All right? Then if you didn't do anything that day that was for the Lord, before coming and miss out Sunday school, you didn't get to go to what we call the show, y'all's movies. You didn't get to go to anything that day. You had to be there for Sunday school, church, and BTU, and anything that came after that. So you spent a whole day. You think Pastor keep us? Oh, that's short. You was there all day long, from 8 to 5:30, like you had hit a clock, okay? And my mama was a little lady. Some of you may know her from having come to this church. She loved St. Peter. She loved Catherine Edwards, and she thought of her as her daughter, and so many others of you, I'm sure, that she thought of. She always looked for Miss Sheffield at the back when she got Alzheimer's, even though she had Alzheimer's, to lead her to her third seat on that middle row, and she would count them as she came in. But as I reminisce about my mama, I get tearful, can't help it, get a lump in my throat. But in spite of everything that she did for us, she taught us wisdom, she taught us respect for each other, she taught us respect for others, she taught us to be honest and upright, She gave us the ability to do for ourselves. Her one prayer, as she always said, is, Lord, let me live to see my children get old enough so they can take care of themselves. She was a southern lady that used to plow with my uncle without a mule. Remember? Just pushing that thing down those roads. I know B probably can remember, but she won't own up to it. It's hard work. We used to have gardens in our own backyard. She would cook the fresh food. She was at home. She was a homemaker. She cleaned. She fixed. She did all those things. But in conclusion here, one of the most profound things that I know that she did, she was a praying mama. Any morning, at any time when you turn over in your bed under all them quilts that they done put together, you knew that that was mama, because she'd be up every morning calling out Larry, Evelyn, Carol, Edward, and a child she raised, Linda. She would talk to God about each and every one of us individually. Then she would talk about the community. And we, by the way, I didn't come off of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I came from 537 Mary Street in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was a community then that is not now. And I'm not demeaning anyone that's there now. But there was togetherness, the village. You got a whooping at school. You got a whooping on the way home from school by Miss Jones. Then you got a whooping from Mama and then from Dad. But that's another sermon. But anyway, my mama played such an integral role in my life. And when she kept telling me, I said, Mama, why nothing seems to work right for me regardless of what I do and how I do it? She said, because you have not answered the Lord's call. She said, He's been calling on you from the day you was born. She said, you just keep running. Well, keep on running. Keep on running. You're going to keep on not having whatever. And so one day, I answered the call. And I sincerely hope that everything I'm doing from what Mama had given me and instilled in me about loving the Lord, doing things respectfully, being respectful of others, loving the Lord in spite of. And if He tells you to do something that sounds really crazy, after prayer, don't worry about how it looks to anyone but Him. These are the things that she instilled in me. Thank you, ladies.